Tonight, Broken Hill sees a drop in COVID-19 cases and calls for report findings into Port Pirie's fishing ban to be released.
From our 7 Spencer Gulf Studios, your nightly news with Ruby Kamain begins now.
Good evening. Broken Hill has seen a drop in COVID-19 case numbers over the last 7 days. While most vaccination rates are keeping up with the state, there is one lagging behind for the Far West.
Booster rates in the Far West Local Health District sitting at 54%. However, while rates have gone up in the 5 to 11-year-old group, it is still lower than the state average. The first time any numbers in the region have been under.
The state actually is sitting at 47.6% for the 5 to 11-year-old first dose, whereas we are sitting at 38% as a region.
To try and get these numbers up, the vaccination clinic, now based at Broken Hill Village, is increasing its opening hours. Beginning in 2 weeks' time, the clinic will run from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays and 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturdays.
Gives parents enough time, Biddy, if they want to get their children vaccinated, to be able to come across to the our new centre at the next to Coles in Broken Hill. Mr Agus wanting to get across to the public, case numbers will rise unless children get vaccinated. Really, we want to be at least where the state is in terms of the vaccination for our 5 to 11-year-olds. That is certainly still the highest growth in terms of positive cases, really, is under age 20. Case-wise, the number is at 284, down from 339 last week. Meanwhile, South Australia's restrictions are expected to lift from April 1st, as life finally returns to normal after 2 years. Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
The Port Pirie Regional Council is calling on SA Health to release the findings of an independent report into the town's fishing ban. The fishing ban could be lifted before September if the report finds there is less heavy metals present in the water.
Fishermen are reeling to get in the water. It's been 17 months since the state government placed a recreational fishing ban in Port Pirie after a study found the water to be heavily contaminated. The ban is supposed to last until September, but the Port Pirie Regional Council says it could be lifted much sooner.
We had some indicative timelines given to us last year when the ban was reenacted, and we were suggesting that by February we would actually be coming back with all of the new data collected and perhaps looking at the opportunity of reopening the ban.
The report with Deputy Chief Public Health Officer Chris Leese could take another month before the data is analysed.
And as you would imagine, by the end of March we'll have a new minister and all that sort of stuff, so it's going to take a little while, so we're hotly pursuing what it is.
We contacted SA Health. It said it was a primary industries issue, but PIRSA said it was an SA Health issue, with both parties not commenting on the matter.
PIRSA says, well, it's not my idea, and SA Health says it's not my idea, but it is SA Health that stopped us. So we need to get to that, and Mr Leese will be continued to be contacted.
In the meantime, fishermen will have to tread further out to sea to get a catch. Christian Komenos, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Known for its outback emergency care, the Royal Flying Doctor Service will soon provide a full-time health service for the people of Port Augusta as well. Aiming to help fix the regional GP shortage, the RFDS has purchased a lot in the city's CBD to build a brand new facility.
The Royal Flying Doctor Service unveiling its plans for a local health hub in the centre of Port Augusta.
There will be GP and allied health services, there are consultation rooms there, but we're also building an integrated facility that will include training, it will include community services.
While continuing its life-saving work in the outback, the new facility will act as a place for doctors to also provide more mainstream services to the local community.
There's a shortage of doctors in Port Augusta. It can take up to a couple of months to get a GP appointment, so the local GPs are enthusiastic about this project.
Through its own medical service here will bolster the number of GPs available in Port Augusta.
The new foothold in Port Augusta, aiming to give doctors adequate space to meet with the city's residents or live stream to those in remote townships.
We saw at the RFDS space today the units that are being used to link stations and communities in the north with clinicians wherever they might be.
With dedicated training facilities, the site will also aim to attract more GPs from the city to service locals.
Construction on this site will commence later this year. Having secured the site, the board has made a commitment that we will go through with this project.
The project is budgeted at $8 million. The RFDS now consulting with benefactors as well as state and federal governments. Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Wireless Steelworks has signed a contract with the Australian Rail Track Corporation to supply track for the Inland Rail project. The member for Grey says the deal will be a contributor to boosting and stimulating the local economy.
The Upper Spencer Gulf on track to supply a major national industry project. The Australian Rail Track Corporation signing a contract with Whyala's GFG Liberty Steel to supply heavy-duty rail.
We see now the value not only of the rest of the Australian assets, particularly here in Whyalla, the steel assets, that the Australian government, we are absolutely committed to making sure we keep making steel in Australia.
The contract, worth close to $300 million, supporting 1,500 jobs in the near future. The federal member for Grey praising the quality of steel in his electorate.
There's works going all over Whyalla. Not all government works, a lot of private works as well. I think that's a really good thing.
The current member for Giles feeling happy another stabilisation of industry is coming to Whyalla.
The rail contract is great, there's good margins on rails, but it's also a no-brainer.
The Whyalla City Council also approving the announcement, saying the contract is a testament to a quality product the local workforce can produce.
It's great for the steelworks. It shows that they've got a secure future moving forward with such a major contract being given to them, and that's just going to stabilise the workforce.
In a statement, GFG Alliance Chairman Sanjeev Gupta says it is a testament to the hard work of his employees, which also demonstrates the business is in a strong position. Mark Zita, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A definite answer on a site for a new desalination plant is drawing closer after the selection committee met for their third meeting. The Eyre Peninsula Desalination Site Selection Committee hoping to find a location by the end of July.
We're really starting to look more closely now at what we're calling the southern precinct. So, for want of a better term, the Sleaford Bay area, and also that area around Point Boston. So outside of Proper Bay, Boston Bay.
The committee will meet again over the coming weeks to narrow the site down to one specific location. Still to come tonight, Stuart candidates share their health election promises, and a report reveals the overall health of the Eyre Peninsula community. Welcome back. As the state election looms closer, candidates for Stuart are voicing their commitments to the region's healthcare system. Both Labor and Liberal are promising to inject millions of dollars into the Port Pirie and Port Augusta hospitals.
It's one of the state's biggest issues. With just 2 weeks until the state election, the candidates for Stuart are making big promises to improve the region's healthcare system. Dan Van Holst Pelican is planning to win the Pirie voters by pledging to bring more doctors into the region and keep them here.
We've very significantly increased the remuneration and actually put in some attraction packages so that we can get more country doctors into South Australia.
The Liberals plan to spend $188 million to fix the GP shortage across the whole state. Labor candidate Andrew Wright says his party has promised $12 million to upgrade the Port Pirie Hospital and $8 million for the Port Augusta Hospital.
There is investment by the Labor Party for health in this region. As a consequence of that, that is how you retain and it's also how you attract. Without investment, you're not able to do either.
The money would go towards upgrading hospital services as well as hiring 30 full-time paramedics. Independent candidate Jeff Brock will be applying pressure to the elected party to fix the healthcare system.
First and utmost is the doctor shortages and to get the health and the specialist services coming back up here, and I'll put pressure on both major parties to actually commit to that, and I'll support whoever's got the best opportunities for regional health services out there.
The Greens will be making public health their priority while also pushing for better mental health services.
That it needs to be a priority to ensure that every South Australian has access to the mental health access that they need.
Christian Komenos, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Meanwhile, the Liberal government has promised to double the patient assistance transport scheme. The Health Minister saying regional patients travelling to Adelaide deserve a bigger fuel subsidy.
The Liberal government pledging to increase the financial support provided by the Patient Assistant Transport Scheme. If re-elected, the party will increase the PATS fuel subsidy from 16 cents to 32 cents per kilometre.
That's a doubling. It's the first increase in 16 years. It now means that we have one of the highest rates in Australia.
The Deputy Premier warmly welcoming the announcement, saying the extra money would give regional patients more flexibility when travelling.
Doubling the amount of money that they get reimbursed for their travel when they need to go elsewhere to get specialist medical care will make an enormous difference to the people of Port Augusta and the rest of Stuart.
Saying he understands travelling to Adelaide for treatments such as chemotherapy is demanding, so alleviating transport costs is vital to take away some of the stress.
Shortly after coming to government, Minister Wade came to Port Augusta and we had a packed meeting at Westies Footy Club to discuss exactly this issue.
What we've done over the last 4 years is made a series of incremental changes which have been warmly welcomed by Country South Australia.
The Health Minister says the increased fuel subsidy will coincide with changes to what's covered by PATS.
One of the changes which I know has been warmly welcomed is we no longer require people to only be travelling for medical purposes. You can get PAT support even if your trip is for medical and for other purposes.
Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
The Eyre Peninsula Community Foundation has revealed its Vital Signs report. The document serves as a community health check, outlining the strengths and challenges of the region.
An eye-opening report set to bring change to the region.
In partnership with our good friends at Wyatt Trust and the Port Lincoln Bendigo Community Bank, to bring together a snapshot of the Eyre Peninsula based on the 2016 Australian census.
The information from the report will be delivered to councils for evaluation.
Create some information that we could use and that communities can use and leaders in our communities can use. Really around making good decisions for community futures. We're all about having a sustainable future for the EP.
Key areas of the report focusing on health and education, revealing 27% of people over the age of 60 are carrying 3 or more chronic health conditions, and the high school completion rates showing only 34% of Year 12 students see it through.
There really are some key issues that you can pick up out of this report around education and around health, and also around the differences that we have between our 3 big cities.
Data also showing volunteering rates are up at 36.6% ahead of regional South Australia. The foundation hoping to distribute this information across the region.
This will be widespread and will be available on the Eyre Peninsula Community Site website for anyone who expresses an interest in that information as well.
500 hard copies of that report, and that's for distribution. So my ambition would be that 499 of them will be distributed.
Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. Extra funds for a Broken Hill project, sharing the stories of locals. And organisers released the program for Wyalla's Unearth Festival. Hello again. Broken Hill City Council has received funding for its History Alive project, which shares the stories of residents. The boost comes as part of the Coalition's Cultural Heritage and Arts Regional Tourism campaign in a bid to stimulate cultural tourism in the city.
Preserving Broken Hill's history for future generations. The city receiving funding under the second batch of the Chart program, a project the Mayor is passionate about.
Look, it's been talked about for a little while. Getting the oral history recorded is important. It's something that I've been passionate about.
The City Council receiving more than $2,000 in funding and will get recording equipment for staff and volunteers to capture local stories, showing the significance of Broken Hill's history.
It is important, and we need to make sure that history is recorded so that future generations just understand how important Broken Hill was to the city, to the state and the country, and internationally.
The histories are set to be recorded in group settings in individual interviews and will focus on Broken Hill and Silverton.
Ours will include stuff from Silverton, that sort of stuff, because it's all related in mining, but it's really about recording the oral history of the community.
Interviews are set to start in the coming months, with the project expected to be ongoing with no official end date. and will certainly capture all the colourful characters and stories of the Silver City. Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Wyala's biggest arts festival is now a step closer with the announcement of the official program of events. Organisers are encouraging locals to get out and explore what Unearth Festival has to offer.
More than 2 weeks to go until the opening of the region's premier arts event. Wyala's Unearth Festival officially launching for this year with the full program of events revealed.
We have 9 days of events spanning from the 19th to the 27th of March, which is only a few weeks away, and then we have a warm-up event as well on the 18th.
The pre-launch event on the 18th will allow attendees to create their own glitter-filled festival craft. The Wyala Musicians Association hosting the official opening the day after at the foreshore.
It's always a great time of year. Fringe is always so exciting, and it's great to have something pop up in Wyala and fringify the city a little bit, sparkle it up, have some Fringe family fun.
Festival favourites such as Leverlungs will make a return to the Upper Spencer Golf. In addition, family fun days will be held at Norton Park and Jessup White Park, ensuring all residents and visitors are catered for during the event.
We're so excited to bring the festival back and to actually have a festival here in Wyala. It's amazing. It's great to be getting back to normal, getting the community involved, getting people to go out and do things, see things.
More information can be found on the Unearth Festival's Facebook page. Mark Zeta, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. Our fishing experts will share their tips for the weekend, and we'll have the weather details with Alex Sykes. Welcome back. It's looking like a fairly clear weekend for most parts of our region, so hopefully that'll treat local fishing enthusiasts out on the water well. With their tips, here are our fishing experts.
Welcome to another week around the Golf Fishing Tips. We talked last week about me getting out and trying some crabbing out at Port Augusta, and I've got to tell you, thank you very much. Dodge tide, blowy as all blazes, but I come home with a good feed of crabs and I'm very, very happy. But whilst I was doing that at Port Augusta, so did some of our local anglers pick up good feeds of crabs. So, and most of the spots around the Third Creek patches at the moment, they're doing some great stuff, some top into cockle spit and also checker buoy. And whilst you're at checker buoy, just remember to chuck over a squid jag at the moment because there's a few of those starting to float. We don't normally see them to April, but they're starting to get around at the moment. That's all we've got this week. We'll see you next week.
G'day and welcome to this week's Fishing Tips from Port Augusta, Jaw of the North. Crabs, as you'd expect this time of year, big and full of meat and just about everywhere at the moment, right down past Yatala, right up to the old powerhouse station, so you don't really have to try too hard to get those. Snapper's starting to get caught for people trying to get trumpeters for crab bait, so obviously return them to the water, but it's actually a good sign. Silver whiting, as you'd expect as well, this time of year, all up around on the top of the banks on the low tide. You might pick up the odd flathead. Been a few snook over around the middle bank. There's also been a few kingfish sighted. I haven't really seen any caught yet, but they're still around there. Not the huge ones, not real small, but a good eating size. That's all we have from the Jaw of the North.
Hi, Wyala's fishing tips this week. The crabs across Wyala are really starting to slowly run now, so definitely the time to get amongst them. Unfortunately, this weekend we've got a bad streak of weather coming through, so not a lot of boats will get out. However, some great land-based fishing could still be optioned. Down towards Point Lowly, between Point Lowly and Fitzgerald Bay, some good land-based fishing there. Some garfish, some tommies and some squid coming from out front of the sand eels. A little bit further towards the lighthouse, still a few schools of salmon holding up there.
G'day and welcome to this week's Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. Starting off around the bay here, the blue swimmer crabs have probably been the best bet. The guys have been doing really well down in Proper Bay and also out the front of the Lincoln Hotel. The whiting have been a little bit slow around town, but the best catches have kind of been coming from the North Shore and Boston Island area. Better catches have been coming from down Thistle and Taylors. Also around the bay has been a few squid off the jetties. The garfish have been showing their heads around town, and there's been a few snook as well in the evenings. Over at Coffin Bay, the salmon trout have been going pretty well in the bay. The good numbers around the Brothers and around Goat Island. But there's been some garfish, flathead and some gummy sharks in there as well. The tuna have been a little bit widespread with the best catches coming from Craws Rock. That's about it from this week. We'll see you again next week.
Time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather as we approach the weekend. Here's Alex Sykes.
Thanks, Ruby, and good evening, everyone. There was not a drop of rain in our region today, and that's expected to continue through to next week. At 3 p.m, Port Augusta was sunny and 35. Port Lincoln was partly cloudy and 27, and Coffin Bay was partly cloudy and 23 degrees. Looking further out across the region now, Whyalla was sunny and 32, Broken Hill was 30, Port Pirie and Woodner were 35, Adelaide reached 28, Cleve and Kadina both were 33, Clare was sunny and 32, and Cooper Pedy was 37 degrees. Taking a look at the satellite image now, cloud crossing the west with a cold front and trough is causing a few showers about the west coast, dry and sunny in the east with a drier and hotter air mass. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. Northeasterly winds 10 to 15 knots, seas below 1 metre, and south to southwesterly swells around 1 metre. Port Lincoln will be partly cloudy and 24, Cleve 25, Woodner is set to reach a high of 26 degrees, Whyalla and Kadina both also 26, and Port Augusta will get to a high of 28 degrees. Port Pirie to top 27, Clare 26, and Broken Hill will be mostly sunny and reach 33 degrees. Taking a look further through the week now, those partly cloudy conditions will continue into the weekend. Port Augusta and Whyalla will top 25 on Saturday, Port Pirie and Woodner both to reach 27, Broken Hill mostly sunny, also 27. A look at Sunday now, and it'll be sunny and 30 degrees in Cooper Pedy, cloudy in Port Lincoln with 21, Port Augusta, Woodner and Broken Hill all to reach 27 degrees. Now let's take a quick look to next week now. Partly cloudy for most parts on Monday. Port Augusta and Kadina 26, mostly sunny in Broken Hill and 28. Not long until the weekend now, Ruby, and that's all the weather from me for tonight. It's back to you.
Lovely, thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Thursday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later. Until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.